Imagine for a moment a tiny decision, maybe just an innocent favor, that suddenly spirals completely out of control. An irreversible nightmare. How quickly can someone's life just, go totally off the rails?
It's a really terrifying thought, isn't it? That thin line between, like, everything being okay and total chaos, or just one wrong step, one bad choice, and it all comes crashing down.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're looking at Detour, a really gripping 1945 film noir. It just perfectly captures this terrifying descent.
Yeah, and despite its Poverty Row origins, low-budget studio, it's now recognized by the Library of Congress, seen as culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant, which is quite something.
Right. So our mission today is to unpack how this low-budget masterpiece weaves this relentless story of inescapable fate, all these unexpected turns.
We want to get into what it means to be truly trapped by circumstance, drawing on the film's own raw narrative. Al's voiceover is key, and also the gritty production story behind it.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We start in these dreary, smoke-filled New York nightclubs. We meet Al Roberts, our protagonist. He's a piano player, no work, and you can just feel the bitterness.
Oh, yeah. He feels like he's squandering his musical talent, playing in a cheap nightclub. His opening narration just lays it all out.
And that initial dissatisfaction, it really sets the stage for film noir, doesn't it?
It really does. Noir protagonists often start out feeling trapped or, disillusioned. Al wants to be a classical pianist, but his reality is just grim. It's that clash.
That tension's there right from the start, a life already feeling a bit off.
Exactly. It's like the first bar of his personal prison cell, you could say.
Right. And his only sort of bright spot is his girlfriend, Sue Harvey. She's the singer at the club.
And she makes this big move, quits, heads to Hollywood to chase fame.
Which leaves Al just depressed, anguished. Yeah. He decides, okay, I'm going to follow her. Hopes to marry Sue. Seems straightforward, right? A love story.
Yeah, on the surface. But it becomes anything but, and here's the first real hurdle, the first big detour.
He has basically no money.
Little money to his name, yeah. So he has to hitchhike across the country. And this trip, this act of, free will to chase love, it paradoxically becomes the first step into this unforeseen nightmare. Pulls him way off his intended path.
Fate laying a trap, maybe.
Feels like it. And the journey itself, Al describes it as so perilous.
His voiceover talks about the dangers. You never know what's in store for you. And he mentions this growing dread, like a premonition.
He says, there was always that writing on the wall following me around, beating in my head, never letting up. It's like he senses it coming.
Yeah, even before the really bad stuff happens. That psychological element is key, isn't it?
Definitely. The paranoia, feeling like a victim of, external forces. It's all there before the main events. The voiceover creates this claustrophobic grip. You feel the doom coming right along with him.
Okay, so the fateful encounter, Arizona. Al gets a ride.
From Charles Haskell Jr., a bookie, driving this amazing car, a customized 1941 Lincoln Continental V12 convertible.
Wow. Haskell's heading to L.A., going to place a big bet, and then everything changes.
This is it. The first huge, shocking twist. Haskell just dies. Suddenly.
The film implies a heart attack, right? He takes pills.
Strongly implies it, yeah. But Al immediately panics. Total panic.
He thinks he'll be blamed for murder. Can't call the police.
Exactly. Given his situation, a broke hitchhiker who would believe him. And this is where his life starts, that irreversible slide. One desperate choice after another.
So he hides the body, takes the guy's money, clothes, ID, decides to be Haskell, just for a while.
Plans to ditch the car later, but you hear him questioning it. Who would believe he fell out of the car? He knows how bad it looks.
He's trying to justify it, but he knows he's cooked.
Yeah, it's a chain reaction. Each panic decision just digs the hole deeper. The impersonation meant to save him becomes the next trap.
It's not like he's malicious, just terrified.
Right, fear takes over, and that fear becomes his undoing.
So Al, now pretending to be Haskell, crosses into California, and he picks up another hitchhiker, Vera.
Initially, he notes her natural beauty, but there's something else there, an intensity, right away.
She's not your typical glamorous femme fatale, though.
No, not at all, which makes her kind of perfect for this gritty Poverty Row aesthetic. And there's this interesting thing with the music.
Oh, yeah.
The composer, Leo Erdody, gave her introduction this almost sympathetic theme, but it clashes completely with Anne Savage's performance. Her dialogue is razor-sharp, ferocious, creates this weird disconnect.
And then the bombshell drops almost immediately.
Instantly, Vera says, essentially, "You're not Haskell."
She knows. How?
Turns out she got a ride from the real Haskell earlier in Louisiana, got out in Arizona because he tried to force himself on her, so she knows exactly who Al isn't.
Oh, man. So Al's whole desperate plan just disintegrates right there.
Completely shattered. And Vera, instead of helping, she just seizes control. Total control.
Blackmails him.
Yep. Takes his money. Demands a cut from selling the car. Her attitude is just pure cynicism. She says something like, "It won't do me any good having you benched. The cops are no friends of mine. Now, if there was a reward," but there isn't. Ruthless.
Wow. Al is just completely at our mercy now.
Totally. And you hear his despair growing. He says, "I just can't imagine that me, after all this, would be the lucky one." That sense of doom just gets heavier.
He's gone from being maybe a victim of fate to being a victim of her.
Exactly. It shows how people, not just random chance, can be the instruments of your downfall. Vera really is that Hal is other people idea brought to life.
So they end up in Hollywood, posing as Mr. and Mrs. Haskell, rent an apartment, plan to sell the car.
And despite how awful Vera is, Al has this line, almost resigned, like, "I guess I'm getting kind of used to you." It's this bizarre, twisted setup.
Built entirely on lies and fear. And then Vera pushes him even deeper, right?
Yeah, she finds this newspaper article. Turns out Haskell's rich father is dying, and they're looking for the son, who's been estranged for years.
Oh, no. Let me guess Vera's plan.
You got it. Al has to impersonate the son, inherit this massive fortune, over $15 million.
That's insane. Does Al go for it?
No way. He refuses.
Right.
Says he can't possibly pull it off. He doesn't know the details. Like, "I didn't even know my mother's name, where I'd gone to school, if I had an Aunt Emma or not." The absurdity is just piling up.
It's almost darkly funny in how desperate it is.
It really is, and the tension just snaps. Vera gets drunk, furious, threatens to call the cops, locks herself in the bedroom with the phone.
And the phone cord.
Yeah, it gets tangled around her neck somehow. Al's outside, frantically pulling on the cord, trying to disconnect it, trying to stop her calling.
He breaks down the door.
And finds he's inadvertently strangled her.
Oh, God. Another death.
And even then, he tries to justify it. "I didn't kill it. Haskell was a sick man." Same denial. But this time, the reality hits harder. "I was cooked, done for. I had to get out of there."
He keeps trying to tell himself he's not a murderer.
It's tragic, isn't it? This cycle of self-deception as things get worse and worse. His choices, panicked or not, are his. But he feels completely helpless.
So now he's guilty twice over. Truly trapped. He can't go back to New York. Al Roberts is supposedly dead.
And he can't stay in Hollywood as Haskell. The police are now looking for Haskell for his wife's murder.
Any hope of getting back to Sue is just gone. An absolute dead end.
Which brings us to the ending. It's clever how it handles the production code. You know, the rule back then that murderers couldn't just get away scot-free.
How did they manage it?
Director Edgar G. Elmer has Al basically foresee his own capture. At the very end, you see him hitchhiking again, and he sees a police car stopping, and he knows they're coming for him.
So it satisfies the code, but keeps the theme of inescapable fate.
Exactly. It's not about punishment, really. It's about inevitability. He's forever looking over his shoulder.
Back to hitchhiking, haunted by it all, wondering what my life might have been. And that line, "Yes, fate or some mysterious force had put the finger on you or me, but for no good reason at all." Just chilling.
So bleak. And it leaves you wondering, was it really fate or was it Al's own panic choices piling up? The film doesn't give an easy answer.
Okay, let's talk about how this film even got made. Because it wasn't a big studio thing.
No, it came from Producers Releasing Corporation, PRC, one of Hollywood's Poverty Row studios.
These were the places churning out low-budget films really fast, right?
Yeah, often gave them this raw, almost documentary feel, which makes Detour's legacy even more amazing. It's a triumph of making something great out of, well, not much.
And the production details are wild. It was shot in just 14 days.
14 camera days, yeah. People used to say 6, but 14 is still incredibly fast.
Right.
Budget was maybe closer to $100,000, not the tiny $20,000 figure you sometimes hear. Still small, though.
And it made a huge profit margin for a noir film on the National Film Registry list.
Astonishingly high, yeah. And get this, that Lincoln Continental, Haskell's car.
Yeah.
It was Director Ulmer's personal car.
No way. Using his own car for this iconic symbol of doom.
Tells you something about the passion and maybe the budget constraints involved.
Incredible. And the editing was really tight, too.
Super tight. Cut down from a much longer script, so everything had to count. Plus that full score by Erda with that weirdly sympathetic theme for Vera we mentioned.
And the flip negative trick.
Classic Ulmer move. To show westbound travel, he just flipped the film. So the cars look like they're driving on the wrong side, but it adds to that disoriented, slightly off-kilter feel.
Smart. How was it received initially?
Pretty well, actually. Played in some big cinemas like the Orpheum. But its real status came later, like in the 80s, when critics rediscovered it as prime film noir.
That's when his genius was really appreciated.
Yeah, its raw style and that existential dread felt surprisingly modern.
And some critics absolutely loved it. Roger Ebert called it haunting and creepy, an embodiment of the guilty soul of film noir.
Philip Kemp said Ulmer conjures up a black, paranoid vision, totally untainted by glamour. High praise, considering its origins.
They really picked up on that feeling of a random universe, right?
Yeah, that berserk cosmic impulse just dragging Al down. And Anne Savage as Vera. Richard Corliss ranked her one of the top 25 greatest villains ever. Said she embodies hell, truly is other people.
She's unforgettable because she feels so real, so unvarnished.
Absolutely. A masterclass in low-budget villainy.
So, wrapping up, Detour isn't just, a standard crime film. It's this incredible look at how tiny choices, maybe mixed with sheer bad luck, can send a life completely off course.
It really hammers home that tension between fate and free will. Al feels trapped by circumstance, totally, but his own actions, his panic reactions, definitely help seal his fate.
It makes you think, doesn't it? Our attempts to control things can sometimes be the very things that make it all worse.
Precisely.
So here's a thought for you listening. In our own lives, when we feel like we've taken a detour, how much of it is external forces and how much is maybe us steering ourselves into it, one bad decision at a time?
And maybe mull over that chilling line from Al himself. Yes, fate or some mysterious force had put the finger on you or me, but for no good reason at all.
If you haven't seen it, definitely seek it out. Detour is in the public domain. It's been restored beautifully. It's a unique piece of cinema.
A journey into classic noir you won't forget easily.